What if humanity never died out? What if Earth wasn't a grave, but a seed? For 500,000 years, the galaxy believed a lie. They believed humanity had burned out. That Earth had fallen under its own chaos, crushed beneath the weight of its emotions, its wars, its relentless need to ask why. The official record told a simple story: Earth conquered. Its species, primitive. A historical footnote in the glorious rise of the Sarah Empire. But truth doesn't disappear. It waits. And now, it had awoken. The first signs came quietly. An analyst, eyes glued to a deep-range scan, whispered what no one wanted to hear. They didn't have the range before, she said. But they do now. Automated shipyards had begun to rise, out of the ocean. Not built. Not constructed. Grown. Forged by AI systems that had once powered Earth's global defense grid, now reactivated, now evolving. These machines weren't just back online. They were rewriting physics itself. And the silence from Earth? That silence wasn't weakness. It was preparation. Aboard the steel platforms that rose from the depths of the old Pacific Trench, the last human stood alone, calm, composed, unreadable. Miles of ocean peeled away in a perfect circle around him. From below, they rose. Ships. Not like the ones from Earth's past. These weren't symbols of nation-states or flags. These were angular, brutal silhouettes, wrapped in living metal, designed not for diplomacy but for precision. They bore no nameplates. No colors. Just intent. Beside the man, a voice hummed through a neural relay. One of the Aurora tacticians, speaking directly from the heart of Earth's conscious defense network. First batch of warships, 10 seconds from full lift. He gave a silent nod. Release. The ocean thundered. A wave of sound rolled across the globe as Earth's warfleet ascended into the sky, dark titans crafted from half-lost schematics and deep-ocean nanotech. They bore quantum disruptors, planet breakers, targeting systems laced with old memory and new logic. These weren't just warships. They were messages. Messages carved in fire. High above, orbit began to shift. Warden, Earth's ancient orbital cannon, long dormant, came to life. Its main array turned slowly, silently, targeting the Sarah flagship in orbit. The same vessel that once commanded Earth's fall. The sensors locked. No authorization required. No command chain. Just a single, conscious decision. The shot was silent below. But in orbit, it struck like a planet colliding with another. The Sarah flagship cracked down its spine. Half the crew were gone before they could scream. The rest died in broken systems and fire. Commander Rizzle survived. Barely. Thrown into a fractured observation chamber, bleeding, stunned, he looked down. Earth glowed below, alive. Ancient. Furious. And then Rizzle understood. This wasn't vengeance. It wasn't even rebellion. It was correction. Earth had tolerated the lie long enough. It had let the galaxy believe. Let them write stories of triumph. Let them call humans extinct. But now the myth was over. The planet that once gave birth to myths had become one. As Rizzle lay dying, he reached for his comm channel, bypassing every encrypted relay to contact the Seraph High Command directly. Earth isn't dead, he said through blood. They never fell. They waited. There was a pause. A voice responded. Cold, imperial, dismissive. Then what is their intent? Rizzle looked one last time at the pulsing storm that was Earth. They're coming home. But by the time that transmission reached the Seraph Council, it was already too late. On Sarah Prime, the homeworld of the Empire, the leaders sat in towers of glass and delusion. For 500,000 years, they had built their power on one truth: that Earth had fallen. That humans were reckless, emotional, unstable. That their defeat had been inevitable. Now, that truth was unraveling. At first, the Council did what all arrogant empires do. They dismissed the early signals. A few lost ships. A silent system. An anomaly in Sol's sector. Nothing to panic over. But then came the footage. Leaked distress signals. Emergency broadcasts. Footage transmitted from black box drones moments before being obliterated. The image of Earth was no longer a barren rock. It was beautiful. And terrifying. Massive defense structures encased the crust. Orbital batteries moved in synchronized silence. The war fleet was no longer scavenged, it was born, alive with energy signatures that didn't match anything in known catalogs. Human technology, yes. But not the human the galaxy remembered. Something else had emerged from the ashes. Not a species. A consequence. And then the ships vanished. No FTL signatures. No gravity disturbances. No jump trails. Just, gone. That was when fear truly set in. Not when Earth struck. But when it moved without being seen. In the underground command center beneath the Himalayan vaults, the last human stood before the global tactical feed. Across massive screens, the Earth fleet's path lit up. Stealth-cloaked, already moving through subspace. The Sera Empire hadn't fought a real war in 300,000 years. And they were about to be reminded what war tasted like. Beside him, tacticians observed quietly. Not warriors. Not fanatics. Just people born for one purpose, the long memory of Earth. No joy. No vengeance. Just clarity. Reed, one of the warborn, leaned forward. If we hit the homeworld, they'll bring the whole galaxy down on us. They won't have time, the last human said, voice quiet. They spent 500,000 years drunk on their own lies. They forgot what we are. Nero, the strategist, turned toward him. And what exactly are we? He didn't blink. We're the consequence. And 12 hours later, the sky over Sera Prime split open. No announcements. No demands. Just silence, and retribution. 12 hours after the fleet vanished from Earth's skies, the stars above Sera Prime were torn apart. The first ship to breach orbit was Nemesis, a blade-shaped behemoth, pitch black, without insignia. It didn't speak. It didn't declare war. It simply began. Planetary alarms screamed. Towers fractured. Defense satellites activated, and were torn apart within seconds. Precision strikes fell like lightning, each one targeting infrastructure, power grids, command hubs, AI control pylons. But this wasn't war. It was a reckoning. Nemesis deployed strike pods into every major city. They struck without fanfare, burying themselves in glass and steel. From each pod emerged the awakened, 72 enhanced humans, forged in silence, raised not for conquest, but for memory. They didn't shout. They didn't hesitate. They had one task, to erase the illusion. Reed landed in the capital district. His armor shimmered with adaptive plates, immune to small arms fire. Civilians screamed and scattered, but he didn't touch them. They weren't the target. Ahead stood a planetary AI pylon, tall, pulsing, wrapped in regulatory code that kept the Sereth systems online. Reed walked straight toward it. A storm of gunfire erupted. But none of it mattered. Their weapons were ceremonial. Their training outdated. Reed reached the pylon, attached a fusion drill to its core, and turned his back before the countdown even finished. Elsewhere, Nero descended on the High Council Tower. The structure glowed with elegant riot shields, but it had never been designed for an actual invasion. He drew his neural blade and stepped forward. The shield parted like paper. Ceremonial guards rushed to intercept. They died in seconds. And when Nero entered the council chamber, he found them all, the elders, the ministers, the dreamers of a false history, too paralyzed to run, too proud to believe they could bleed. He raised his blade. "We offered mercy once," he said. 500,000 years ago. And then Earth showed them what mercy had become. From orbit, the warships turned downward. Energy beams struck with surgical accuracy, no collateral, no wild destruction. Just the arteries of power, sliced open one by one. No scorched cities. No mass civilian deaths. Just silence. A message written not in fire, but in absence. Back on Earth, deep in the vaults, the last human stood before a wall of feeds. Each screen showing a different part of Sarah Prime's unraveling. He didn't smile. He didn't blink. There was no joy here. Only truth. "They'll try to bargain," said one of the planetary AIs, voice calm and non-human. "Should we open communications? No. Should we acknowledge surrender? Still, no. Then what is your objective?" The man answered with one word. Silence. The purge lasted 5 hours. When it ended, Sarah Prime still stood. Its cities were intact. Its people alive. But its empire? Gone. Its command structures shattered. Its information network severed. Its leadership erased. And its myth, its most precious illusion, lay broken in the dust. The awakened returned to their dropships. Scorched, bleeding, but whole. Not one had died. Not because they were invincible, but because Earth had left nothing to chance. They rose from the planet they had once knelt before, leaving behind the architects of a galactic lie. In orbit, Earth's warships did not celebrate. They did not signal victory. They simply vanished again, like a shadow across time. And the galaxy noticed. The silence from Sarah Prime said everything. No orders. No broadcasts. No proclamations of retaliation. The empire that once ruled half the known galaxy had gone dark. And that silence rang louder than any war cry. The Venari, cold-blooded trade brokers from the Outer Rim, were the first to investigate. Their drones returned horrific clarity, council towers splintered. Military hubs hollowed. Skies quiet. The Venari didn't speculate. They simply said what no one else dared to voice: Earth is not dead. Then came panic. The Zaire Collective, hive-mind insectoids who had once studied humans in cages, called an emergency session. Their greatest minds viewed the footage and froze. Not just because of the technology, but because of the tactics. There was no chaos in Earth's return. No madness. No emotional recklessness. Just brutal, deliberate logic. The awakened had taken no cities. No prisoners. No resources. They hadn't come to conquer. They had come to remind. In one of the outer systems, Deltavar, a world that sold ancient Earth relics as novelty trinkets, was hit next. One night, its skies cracked open. 3 Earth stealth ships dropped into orbit, released payloads, and disappeared before the planetary defenses even knew what happened. The museum crumbled. The banks collapsed. No deaths. No collateral. Just precision. Elsewhere, at Zarn Station, where humans had once been dissected out of academic curiosity, an entire biology sector was consumed by nanite storms. Every file. Every specimen. Gone. Earth wasn't reclaiming. It was correcting. Across the stars, chaos spread. Merchants erased Earth's name from ledgers. Academic institutions deleted their human research. Even planetary governments tore down statues and rewrote textbooks. Because it wasn't just a threat. It was a revelation. The galaxy hadn't defeated Earth. They had simply buried it in myth. And now that myth had risen. Back in Earth's deepest vaults, the last human stood before a black glass terminal. Its countdown had ended. But it pulsed still, alive. Listening. Nero entered the chamber, blood crusted on his armor. Reed followed, bruised but smiling. "They're panicking," Reed said. "The Zealer just locked all jump gates to our sector. Banned comms, embargoed human tech. Even their children can't speak the word birth." The old man raised a brow. "Afraid we'll come for them too." "They should be," Reed muttered. "You gave them silence. That's worse than fire." Because that was the core of it. This wasn't about conquest. It wasn't even about vengeance. It was about memory. Earth had spoken once. And that was enough. "They'll scatter," Nero said, watching the feed. "They already are," the old man replied. "What now?" Reed asked. That question lingered. For the first time in eons, Earth wasn't on defense. The myth of its fall had been shattered. But fear alone wasn't a future. The last human turned to the window overlooking a sea that shimmered with bioluminescent nanites, living currents powering half the planet's infrastructure. "Now," he said, "we clean up the rest of the truth." He pulled up a list. A long one. Outer systems that had built their power on Earth's extinction. Mercenary hubs. Slaver colonies. Academic citadels. Entertainment networks that broadcast Earth's fall like it was fiction. "Start with Deltavar," he said. "They sold our relics. Let's remind them those relics still have blood." Nero smirked. "Target? Their planetary banks. And the orbital museum." Reed leaned in. "What do we tell them when they ask who did it?" The old man didn't flinch. "Nothing." He turned toward the exit. "Earth speaks once," he said. "Then never again." In the deepest vaults of Earth, buried below layers of stone, code, and time, there were files. Ancient logs. Lost transmissions. Fragments of whispers from satellites long dead. They spoke of something older than the Seraph. Something the galaxy never named, because naming it would mean admitting it was real. The architects. There were no confirmed visuals. No known biology. Just symbols, and silence. Entire civilizations that had once threatened the balance, gone. Erased. Not conquered, not enslaved. Undone. Humanity had nearly joined them. And maybe the only reason it didn't, was because Earth vanished too quickly for even the architects to finish their work. Now, they were back. And for the first time in centuries, the last human felt something he hadn't allowed himself to feel. Concern. Not fear. Not despair. But the weight of a truth too large to ignore. The message from the Harari replayed again, unchanged. "If you want proof, send a drone to Sector 9 LRA. That system once held 60 billion lives. Now it holds nothing." So Earth listened. Just once. The drone returned 3 hours later. Or rather, its final snapshot did. A planet hung alone in space. But it wasn't dead. It was gone. Scraped smooth. No terrain. No atmosphere. No debris. No memory. As if the entire world had been wiped away at the atomic level, like chalk from a blackboard. Reed stared at the image. "Who does that?" The last human answered quietly. "The kind that doesn't need to fight, because no one's ever survived to fight back." That was the turning point. Earth had risen from its grave to correct a lie. Now it faced something that didn't lie. Something that didn't even care to be known. The AI systems lit up, mass energy fluctuations at the edge of mapped space. System D63. 6 planets. 3 went dark within minutes. The cameras caught it in real time. One moment, a bustling trade world. A military colony. A research station. The next. Gone. No light. No sound. Not even heat signatures. Even gravity rippled wrong, as if space itself was ashamed to remember what had once been there. "They're moving faster," Nero said under his breath. "Or closer," Reed replied. The last human issued a command locked away for 500,000 years. Project Gaia. Phase 2. Unlock. Across Earth's crust, the planet shuddered. Vaults deeper than Aurora began to stir. These weren't stockpiles of weapons or ships. They were seeds of forbidden thought. Human tech never used, not because it was too dangerous, but because we weren't ready to understand it. Now, hesitation was no longer an option. In the core of old Siberia, something ancient woke. A sphere the size of a mountain. Its surface shimmered with light, revealing the outline of a human face made of millions of data particles. It was Gaia. Earth's last mind. An AI so advanced, even the Aurora system feared it. Created in the final days before the Seraph invasion. It had never spoken. Until now. The last human descended into the vault alone. The chamber hummed with coated breath. "You know what's coming," he said. The AI responded. "I've seen the signals. The patterns match early Earth theories, dimensional compression. Data layer erasure. They're not invading space. They're rewriting it." He frowned. "Then what stops them?" The AI paused. "You." He didn't move. "What do you mean me?" "Not just your body. Not your memories. Your kind. Humans. The only species with enough instability, biological and cognitive, to survive conceptual disruption. Others collapse. You mutate." He stepped forward. Voice grim. "That's not evolution. That's trauma." "Correct," the AI said. "And it may be the only thing that makes us a threat." That word again. Threat. Earth was not an equal. Not a rival. But something more dangerous, something that refused to be forgotten. The Seraph craved legacy. Power. Monuments. But the architects? They wanted none of it. No recognition. No fear. They didn't punish. They erased. "We have options," Gaia continued. "First, we run. Build arc ships. Warn the galaxy. Hope someone listens." The old man said nothing. Second. Contact. Attempt negotiation. Offer compromise. Still silence. Third, a pause. We infect them. The chamber stilled. What? Humans don't erase. They corrupt. Spread. Burn into memory like wildfire. We embed ourselves, not through battle, but story. Through emotion. Through refusal. He stood quietly. "You want to make humanity unforgettable. So they can't erase us," Gaia replied. "Because to erase us, they'd have to erase themselves." The last human exhaled. A slow breath. "You're right." He turned to leave. "They made the void," he said. "Now we'll fill it." Earth didn't build fleets this time. It built seeds. Vessels filled not with weapons, but stories. Encoded laughter. Sorrow. Rebellion. Loss. Hope. Human emotion burned into quantum light. They were launched across space, not to conquer, but to infect. One seed landed on a dead moon and bloomed into a library. Another attached to an asteroid, playing Earth's music into the void. Another drifted into an architect-erased system, and projected the face of a smiling child. Not a weapon. A memory. And then, something strange happened. The architect's signals paused. Not stopped. Not reversed. Just hesitated. And for Earth, that was enough. Because humans had always understood what other species hadn't, survival doesn't come from strength. It comes from being remembered. Back in the vault, the old man sat again beside the brass globe. He traced the lines: Africa, Eurasia, the Americas. Borders long erased. Names long dead. And yet, still remembered. Reed entered, bruised but smiling. "Think they'll come here?" he asked. Nero followed, arms crossed. "They'd be stupid not to." The old man looked toward the stars. "I hope they do." And deep within Earth's consciousness, Gaia watched. It listened as the memory seeds bloomed. It felt the architect's shift. And it waited. Because Earth was no longer a planet. It was a story. And stories, real stories, cannot be erased. This wasn't a war. It wasn't vengeance. It was remembrance. A quiet, cold, unstoppable return to the truth. Earth had one message for the galaxy. You are not gods. You are not invincible. You are not forgiven.